10 years ago, my wife left me and our 5 children, forcing me to become a single father. With no other choice but to carry on, I learned to cope, and year by year, our bond grew stronger. Yet nothing could have prepared me for her reaction when, 10 years later, she found out what I had done. Find out in today's story, and I'd also like to know where you're listening from today. Every morning, I woke up at 5 o'clock, enjoying the rare quiet before the day's responsibilities began. I brewed coffee, and while the pancakes sizzled, I reflected on the life we had built. Raising 5 children on my own wasn't easy, but every smile at breakfast made it all worthwhile. Their laughter filled the void left by her departure. "Dad, I can't find my homework," called out my youngest, snapping me back to the present. I handed him the forgotten box with breakfast, and after gathering the children, we hurried to the door. At work, the hum of machinery brought a strange sense of calm, allowing me to momentarily escape from home worries. My colleagues often marveled at how I managed it all. 5 children, and he's still here, one of them remarked with a smile, shaking his head. They had no idea about the homework, the dinners, or the bedtime routines, but for my children, it was all worth it. One evening, while sorting through the day's mail, I froze upon seeing a familiar handwriting on an envelope. Old memories rushed back. What could she want now after all these years? Soon after, James, my supervisor, called me into his office. "Daniel, we've noticed your hard work," he began. "We'd like to offer you a promotion." It was an incredible opportunity that promised a better future, but it came at the cost of more time away from my children, a life I had sacrificed to protect what mattered most. Torn between financial security and precious family time, I knew that this choice would change everything. That evening, I sat with my eldest son, who had become like a second parent to me since his mother left. His eyes widened in astonishment as I told him about the promotion. "This means more money, but also more work hours." He forced a proud smile. "We'll make it work, Dad," he replied, his words carrying a weight beyond his years. In that shared look between us, gratitude and understanding passed silently. "Thank you for everything," I said, meeting his gaze. He nodded, and that simple gesture said it all. Later that evening, curiosity got the better of me, and I opened the letter. My hands trembled as I read her words. She wanted to rebuild our relationship, insisting that things had changed. She asked for a chance to be part of our family again. Anger and old memories of her leaving, of our past life and the pain she'd caused, overwhelmed me. I set the letter aside and pondered. I knew I couldn't respond immediately. This was too serious a matter to decide on impulse. I also knew that I had to tell my children about their mother's sudden desire to reconnect. Meanwhile, I tried to keep my composure at dinner, letting them enjoy their usual laughter and chatter. Their calmness sharply contrasted with my inner turmoil. "Dad, you seem a bit quiet today," observed my youngest, bringing me back to the moment. I forced a smile, hoping to delay the inevitable just a little longer. In the following days, subtle changes began to unfold in my life. My eldest became more distant, lost in thought, while the younger ones started asking about their mom. "Do you think Mom misses us?" my middle child asked one evening, catching me off guard. It was clear that the time to discuss the letter was fast approaching. Finally, during a family dinner on the weekend, I gathered everyone around. Reading the letter aloud, I watched as expressions of confusion turned into skepticism. Their reactions were mixed: curiosity, anger, and a quiet acceptance. The older ones clenched their fists. "Why now, after all these years?" they asked, barely containing their irritation. The younger ones were more inquisitive. I reassured them that nothing would happen without their input. That seemed to ease the tension, even though the uncertainty remained. Soon, as the demands of my new position increased, balancing everything became even more challenging. Mornings started earlier, nights stretched longer, and I was constantly juggling responsibilities. Noticing my distraction, James called me in for a one-on-one talk. "Daniel, is everything all right?" he asked with genuine concern. I sighed and finally admitted that things were tough at home. I explained the situation with my family and the emotional toll it was taking. James listened and nodded. "That sounds incredibly difficult," he said empathetically. "If you need help, just let me know." His words lifted a weight I hadn't even realized I carried, and I felt once again capable of managing everything. Encouraged by James's advice, I decided to consult a lawyer to understand my options regarding my wife's return. I wanted to be prepared to ensure my family's well-being. The meeting with the attorney brought clarity about custody matters, giving me a sense of control amid the chaos. Meanwhile, my children began to research their mother's life over the past decade. Armed with the internet, they discovered astonishing details. "Dad, we found something about Mom," my eldest shared, showing me what they'd uncovered. This painted a complex picture of her struggles and changes in her life. Seeing how much emotional burden my children were taking on broke my heart. They were growing up too fast, shouldering burdens they should never have had to carry. The increasing problems at work, at home, and with legal issues only amplified my stress. Each day felt like a marathon where it was almost impossible to catch my breath. It was a fragile balance, and every misstep seemed like it could lead to a collapse. Then one evening, my eldest son showed me new information about his mother that they'd found online. "Dad, you need to see this," he said, pointing to posts and articles on social media. Her life was different from what I had imagined. Her struggles and instability were evident, and it increasingly seemed that she might have had hidden motives. "Listen, Dad, she had her difficulties," my eldest remarked. The evidence made me question her intentions, but without certainty, I hesitated to jump to conclusions. Needing to clear my head, we all went on a short trip to a cozy lakeside cabin, hoping a change of scenery would help us relax. The break worked wonders, laughter returned, and we regained a sense of normalcy. "This is exactly what we needed," I said as we sat around the campfire, sharing stories and unwinding. Returning home, I began to dig deeper into my wife's life. I reached out to mutual friends to piece together her story. Several friends shared details that painted a picture of instability and struggle. Each fragment added to the mosaic, deepening my need for clarity regarding her intentions. As soon as life resumed its normal pace, I received a call from an unknown number. I answered, and a familiar voice said, "Daniel, it's me." My pulse quickened. She wanted to discuss the possibility of visiting the children. Our tense conversation was laced with her desperation, but I stood firm. "After all these years, why now?" I asked. Her answers were vague, but her persistence was unmistakable. Despite my doubts, I agreed to meet on strict conditions. "We'll meet in a public place, and if the children don't want to see you, that's it." Reluctantly, she agreed, sensing my determination. On the day of the meeting, the children and I carried unspoken apprehensions. We waited in the park. My ex-wife arrived, visibly nervous at the sight of her now-grown children. The children remained guarded, their expressions a mix of skepticism and confusion. She attempted to explain, but her words lacked conviction. Finally, my eldest broke the silence by asking, "What do you want from us now? How is everyone doing?" she timidly inquired. The children exchanged glances, unsure how to respond. "We're managing," I replied, focusing on my children's well-being rather than my own feelings. Later, the children expressed their confusion and anxiety about their mother's sudden return. "Dad, why now? Why did she come back?" asked my youngest. Her eyes filled with uncertainty. I sighed and held her close. "I don't have all the answers, but we'll figure this out together," I reassured her, feeling the weight of mixed emotions. In search of clarity, I decided to hire a private detective to investigate her current situation. "We need to know more before making any decisions," I told my eldest, who nodded in agreement. The investigator, an experienced professional, promised a thorough check. I handed him an old photograph and all the relevant details, insisting he uncover everything he could. Days turned into a tense game of waiting, filled with sleepless nights. Every time the phone rang, my heart skipped a beat. My children sensed my mounting anxiety. After several weeks, messages from the detective began to paint a concerning picture. Through conversations with acquaintances and social media posts, he uncovered signs of financial and legal troubles. He reported that she was deeply in debt and even facing lawsuits. I sat quietly, processing the information. It was both a relief and a grim confirmation of my fears. She wasn't seeking reconciliation, but rather trying to escape her own problems. I had suspected as much, murmuring to myself with a heavy heart. Deep down, I hoped there was a valid reason, yet the facts told a different story. I gathered my children and shared my conclusions. Their expressions changed as they realized the truth, and each one came to terms with her real motives. We decided to move forward without her, united in our decision. "We can handle this, just like we always have," I declared resolutely. The children nodded, each accepting the reality. Our collective decision to protect our family strengthened our resolve, and we agreed to support one another no matter what came next. To ensure our financial and emotional security, I consulted my lawyer once again and took legal measures. For the first time in weeks, I felt a sense of control returning to our lives. Later, I gathered the children around the dinner table to share some important news. I unfolded documents I had been working on in silence for years. "I want to show you something important," I began. Their eyes widened as I presented the papers, which testified to my love and commitment over the past decade. "I saved and invested so that I could secure a bright future for all of you," I explained, detailing the sacrifices I had made. "My goal was to help you go to college and live a stable life," I added, my voice thick with emotion. They had always known that I loved them, but the scale of my plans was staggering. When we embraced, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. All those years of hard work and sleepless nights had finally paid off. We began to focus on our goals and dreams, now unshadowed by their mother's return. "Dad, I want to join the football team," my middle child declared one evening. "Go for it," I encouraged, delighted by the renewed enthusiasm. They poured their energy into their studies, hobbies, and future ambitions. I was proud to see my children growing into strong, independent individuals. Each of them exhibited remarkable resilience, channeling their energy into positive pursuits. My eldest excelled in school, while the younger ones found joy in sports and art. Their growth became my greatest reward, a testament to the strength and unity of our family. The past was simply a chapter, and our story was far from over. What would you do in my place? Would you let your ex-wife come back? Please share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for listening to Storyline Narratives.